What's good, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Campus Cuts, a multicultural, intergenerational podcast featuring entrepreneurs, innovators, creatives, and people from all walks of life to chop it up in the virtual barbershop. I'm your host, Tanaka Tava, and today I got a special guest, somebody that I look up to. He is a true definition of a creative person. He has in the realms of fashion, design, music, and somebody who knows how to communicate effectively. This dude right over here, man, since the jump when I went to Baylor University, has poured into me so much. And I would not be where I am today without his help, support, and guidance through various chapters of my life. So got to give it up to no other than the man with the plan, Mr. Xavier Allmond. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been seeing you have a whole bunch of people. I wasn't gonna ask when I was gonna be added to the show, but I was gonna let you, get around to me.
Yes, bro. But I mean, it's been a long time coming. I said that we were gonna make it happen eventually, and
Oh
you
no,
know
of
what?
course,
By the divine timing, God has made it clear, and it's the
of
time is
course,
now, bro. Man, so I appreciate
of
you
course.
taking the time to do this, man. So of course, I gave the people a little bit of an intro of who you are, but
Yeah,
it's better if you give an intro. So just what's your name, your occupation, and then where
sure,
you're from, and then after that we dive in.
sure. Well, before I really even say anything, thank you for that intro. It's really humbling. I didn't know that I had that, much of an impact. I could say the same for you, honestly. I've been seeing you post. You are where people, like to call it a crazy person. You're not a crazy person. You are just emphatic about what you do. You're fanatical, and that is something that a lot of people could even just have a milliliter of, and they'd be a little bit better. They'd be a lot better, to be honest. So thank you. That just means a lot that I've had that impact on you. But like you said, the music, working on projects, trying to get a little bit more ground with that instead of just practice tracks on SoundCloud. I've already got a project out, the gear hoodied up, comfortable working from home. So that's really what's been going on. Nothing too crazy. But no, feel free to shoot away with any questions that you have for me.
Of course, G, of course, and I received that, bro. So, man, this podcast is all about being able to bring people, highlighting them in their journey, man. And I just want you to start from the very beginning. Specifically, I want to dive into like who you are as a person, right? Of course, people know we're going to get to what you do, but who's Cameron?
Right.
Like, what is the antithesis? What was the beginning of being the person that you are today?
Sure. So the beginning just kind of started out just I can remember 3 years old. 3 years old, being dropped off to go be babysat by my aunts and uncles, having 40-year-old, 30-year-old cousins, taking care of me. And so as I got older, I just started, gravitating towards, people who were older than me. And so moved to Texas in 2006. I was in fourth grade at that time, and that changed my life. I mean, anyone moving to Texas as an outsider is going to change your life. But we've been here ever since, and we, linked up with a church, Friendship Baptist Church, in the colony, and I started gravitating towards, Sunday school and teaching Sunday school at the age of about 10 or 11. And then 12, I started actually writing sermons and preaching in church and went on a mission trip at the age of 13 and went to Uganda and started doing more preaching and just traveling from different churches and stuff, Prestonwood and Plano, Jack Graham, Fellowship of Christian Athletes in high school. So even though, currently, my preaching or words of exhortation or whatever you want to call it, those days are kind of, behind me. Who I am today is basically, I feel like, God was like, I'm gonna pick this dude and he can't run away. That's what my mom says.
Mm,
So
mm. Yo, I never knew that you were like a PK, or like not even a PK, but I never knew that was prominent in your life.
well, I mean, I'm still a preaching kid. You can call it a preaching kid, not a preacher's kid. So yeah, I was
Right.
young, like bringing my Bible to school. And is that a Bible? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So like whenever you were doing that, right? Of course, we're now living in a time that is very, very crazy and divided, right? So, and then, growing up, like, we know, granted, because of social media, but like, was there any resistance of have you faced any resistance whenever you brought your Bible to school, or whenever you tried to
Mhm.
profess the gospel or anything of that nature in your environments from growing up?
Early on, nowadays you can't tell anyone anything. So I think if I were to be that way now, I'd be immune from all the stuff that I dealt with when I was younger, which is funny, and I make light of it. But seventh grade. Well, I'll go back to fourth grade till eighth grade. Fourth grade to eighth grade, I sectioned myself off from listening to secular music and just listen to the truth. Listen to Lecrae. Listen to Trip Lee. Fanatic. I could talk the names for days just because the cross movement. Those are legit. Um, KJ 52. I don't know if anyone even knows about KJ 52. But that's what I did. And people were like, why you sounding Christian? You're like, oh, like, okay. I mean, I just didn't have a stomach for profanity at that time. And
Mm,
so even to this day, I don't use any profanity in my music. I don't find that there's a place for it. So in terms of resistance, I mean, my music right now, I'm listening to West Side Gun, Conway, Griselda. They talking as
yeah,
gritty, as you can get. But it doesn't. There is no internal, friction either because of the years devoted and where my heart really cares for. And even was just the most diplomatic or PC. That's just who I am. So I'm not about to be some corporate dude cursing in my rap lyrics, and I got people's grandmothers buying my gear.
right. Yeah. That is so true, man. Because you look at like when I hear about this, when I'm even thinking about this, it's just like, hey, I think of Kanye, right? Like from his
Right,
roots, and then after that, he went off the very end. After that, he came back and he said, you know what, I'm not going to use any more profanity in my music. And even with this latest release, Donda, there was no like he like, even though like the unedited track there was profanity when he released it on Spotify and
right,
Apple Music, there isn't any profanity out there, right? And so like
right,
now my question for you is, bro, like of course us being people of faith, right? Most people think they
right.
have to continue to be a missionary, like to go out into the missionary field to feel as a missionary. But here we are using our ingenuity, our creativity, which we know comes from the source, as a way to continue to live life on mission. What do you say to people who
Hmm.
say that, oh, you being creative is not being on mission, or you have to do this to be a missionary? Have you ever felt like got some any sort of backlash, or just any way of like, a little bit of like, hey, that's not it, from coming from your background where you were a preacher's kid in the church heavily?
Hmm. Honestly, no, because I feel like the social circle or the social aspect of the culture that is the Christian black culture, if we really want to get boom, boom, boom with it, for me was very unique. It was it takes a village to, raise a child type thing. So, I was making my rap lyrics. I was writing music at that time too, and it was all Christian centered. I was just so devoted all to it where, that type of thing. I don't even think I even have witnessed that type of um church intermingling of church opinion. I don't think that's something that I've dealt with, to be honest. It's just been all love and support, to be honest with you.
That's good. At least you're not like Lecrae. Lost his faith. He lost his religion, but not his faith. you know.
True. That is true.
Dang.
I just tweeted about that actually. I'm not gonna lie. I worship the Lord, or I serve the Lord. Like my eyes are on the person who I'm seeking and not like I said, those social structures that are here. Because as many, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to get on a tangent here because sports are, an important thing in Texas and I played sports, but there are so many denominations that, it can cause someone like me who could go to a Prestonwood Baptist, university or school, and also look at an Episcopalian school that's offering you a full ride in high school for private school, thinking about what that's going to be for the future. You do a little bit of research, and it's like, oh, I don't know if they support this. And hindsight, I probably should have gone to one of those schools, but me being so, doctrinally minded, pseudo thinking that my little middle school, high school, John Calvin, I don't know, Charles Spurgeon reading R.C. Sproul type person even knew what I was talking about. I should have just gone to those schools. I probably would have still ended up at Baylor, but I don't know. That type of thing is almost like the opposite, almost like the legalism aspect. Like, oh no, I would never, be an Episcopalian or, a Presbyterian or a Methodist, never. And then for that reason, it was good at that age, but going forward, like, nah, like, what are we even talking about here? What are the essentials of the faith? But we could get into that, but we don't have to get into that.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good, bro. That is so good. And I mean, like, bro, that's just the testament of growth. I think everybody that is young, because we're fed, right? We're fed by the ideologies and people in our adults and in our life. Like, okay, yeah, you know what? This is where I'm gonna go. This is what I'm gonna do. Because of course, like, hey, there's you only know as much as somebody else is pouring into you until cognitively you start to think outside the box, whether you're granted with that early, such as yourself, or maybe a little bit down later when we are fully mature, quote unquote, where we actually start making choices for ourselves. I mean, like, bro, from like our relationship, bro, you've always been an independent thinker or somebody that has always just thought outside the box. Where did you like? When was the first time that you started? Really leaning into that quality in yourself, in order to help you bring your ideas to life.
I think it kind of goes to those days of being the devout Christian kid on MySpace and bringing it to school, and you know, kind of having people who respect you. And even to this day, that's my dilemma right now. Feeling, alone is a lot of respect for me. Even though the Christian aspect or being a Holy Ghost kid, isn't really the thing anymore. It's now like, wow, we respect the Cavalier. We respect the music. To where social media is where they can tap in, jab. Hey, how are you? Oh, good. But they don't really check up on you when they're not feeling too well. I'm not going to get morbid here, but the transition of the reason why people have an excuse to reach out to you or at least feel, cool enough to, versus the days, weeks, months when they don't. And, you have a lot of time to think. No one's probably going to even care about this music. But if I'm doing it and I want to do it, and someone does stumble upon it and like it, what's the element that they liked it for? And it all goes down to what's the skill of it. Am I doing it for other people, or am I trying to add more tools to the toolbox with the music, with the clothing? Am I doing it for them, or am I trying to be a blacksmith? Like, blacksmith not out there like, hey, bro, I got this new sword out, bro, double edge with that mother, like grip handle. Like, I'm not gonna come out there like I'm trying to put in work, and I think it just comes with, I don't need attention. The attention will come because I've got plans of generating revenue, but for now, I need to continue to be the diamond maker or something like that.
That is so good. And usually attention is weird. Like, you and I know this, like, like it's in this weird space where, because it's like, hey, you know what, whether you're performing at a festival, like you performed in Dia, bro, you got hundreds of people, like a bunch of people, thousands of people listening to your stuff, whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, what's up, bro, like, oh, that was so good. And it's like, yo, but do you see me though? Do you see who I am? Do you even care to even see who I am? Oh no, you just like, you like to put on your headphones, listen to music, criticize it, go on the rest of your day, but you don't actually see the craft and the work, the dedication, and me being a blacksmith with, trying to create and curate this part of who I am and trying to show it to the world. Not because I want y'all to see it, I'm just enjoying it and I'm trying to bring it out. Because honestly,
Right.
98% of the people can't even do it. They can't. If we're going to be honest, they can't and they won't. They're too scared.
Facts.
I'm sorry, but that's just me.
No, 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 that's true. I mean, it goes to the old football. I played football. I played quarterback. I was freshman, 14 years old in varsity or whatever it is, playing in FC Dallas Stadium in Frisco. It's like right there. I could literally see it from now. Like, anyone can do it, son. If anyone can do it, they be out here doing it. It's like not easy. And I actually ended up stopping playing football after sophomore year and being a 14-year-old, varsity quarterback as a freshman and stuff. Like, that sounds good if I want to do it for the other people, but getting cussed out every day, literally, while I've already got depression, I was like, nah, I need to chill out, focus on track. And that led me to Baylor, which led me to kind of know that now, like, you can't try to go full-fledged into something and think you about it when you're really not about it, and that comes with, outside sources that might damper or have a damper or a negative effect on what you originally love about what you're involved in. Is that too, wordy, or does that make sense?
That definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And so, like, bro, but talk about like that framework for right because of anybody like any high school kid. Imagine to dream of like because you went to a big high school, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, what even imagine to just like be the one, and then you just left it off of the table. Like, one person would be like, bro, would you leave it? But I obviously like,
Yeah.
understanding the quitting framework, it's important to quit. It's important to learn when to quit and when to leave and when to take a step back. But um how did you even develop that IQ, emotional intelligence to be like, you know what? I'm good.
Good question. Um, and thank you for deeming that emotional intelligence or IQ because I've never thought about that. I'll start with the most recent thing that I can think of. That coach, it was a quarterback coach. I played for Hall of Fame coaches that were in the NFL, played for the Vikings, played for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm talking when I was in fifth grade. I'm talking their wives were like, "Hey, shake my hand, son. What you doing?" I'm talking like intentional with the respect. So when I do select football leagues, select after select after select, getting a standard of what it means to be about it and to dig into something. And then you get to high school, and then you get a coach who wants to just yell and cuss and be frustrated or whatever. It hurts you. And you've got to, as my dad would say, he's been in retail management, project management for as long as I've been alive. Once you get a vision of good, and then you're exposed to something that's lesser or maybe not even debatably equal in value, it changes kind of how your days are day in and day out. And so between having that experience to this day still having dreams about that coach, you kind of have an indication of how it feels then when you're going to have a flash, what do they call it in psychology, flashbang memory or something. That's going to scar you for a while. So on one forthcoming Prince, we didn't have a senior class. First time it started out, we started out 3A. I was forthcoming Prince. I was Silver Star athlete. I'm coming out of being, student athlete of the year 2 years in a row already. And I was like, well, Ohio State and A&M were looking at me for track, triple jump. I could do that. So I had track and I had basketball to get me in shape for it. So a lot of it maybe was less about, emotional intelligence and more so let's I'm an NHS. Let's get these books, let's get this GPA from a 4.47 to a 4.6, and that's what we did. Instead of trying to get a 4.40, let's get a 4.6 GPA. And that's how I ended up, going to Baylor and just making that thing happen. Because I'm like, nah, as my mom would say, bump that. You good. You can cut somebody else out, but I'm finna get this degree real quick instead of trying to go to a D2 school or something like that. And that's no disrespect.
Right, right. And you in longevity wise, you save your body, right? Because like we know athletes who have been put through the grinder, who you know, and it's really hard because sometimes coming from personal experience, knowing some, being able to train with some of the best, people out of high school, out of college, and them talking about their collegiate experience, saying like, oh, my whole identity was being an athlete, and once they got injured, they're like,
Hmm.
yo, who am I? What do I want to
What do I
do?
do
Like,
now?
what, bro? What do I do now? And no disrespect, because of course, you got to be in a certain level of mindset, and level of grind in order to get to that point. But it's just like, when do we take the time in order to be able to fill up our own cups elsewhere and holistically enjoy our capability and our capacity to do other stuff? You know what I'm saying?
It's true. And I think that's what I've had the ability to do. And I think about that often. This might be a pivot to a new conversation or not. I don't know what you have, in your schedule, even how much time is left. But, I think of every situation. It may come from anxiety or depression or whatever, but I think about, dang, if I would have waited half a second to do one thing, how would that have changed the entire scale the rest of the day, which would have had an effect on the rest of whatever? That's very anxious or, anxiety inducing. But when I
Right.
look back and I think, dang, I didn't stick it out. My boy who went to the military, he's still having knee surgeries right now. because of,
Mm,
MCL issues or ACL issues, shoulder issues, back issues. And these are multiple people I'm talking about. So just from the health aspect, on some butterfly effect stuff, shout out Travis Scott. Like, I could have been hurt. I could have gone to some teacher school. Could have not gone to Baylor. Could have done a whole bunch of other things. But where I'm at now is all I have to work with, and it's probably the most diverse portfolio to use some of your crypto terms or investing that it ever would have been if I would have just been a sole proprietor and a full head honcho for football or any other
right,
sport in general.
right, right. Oh man, that's wow, that's so good. That's so good, man. And talk about that diversification, bro. Of course, you went to communications, you went to Baylor, right? That's where we met. And you went at a time where you graduated 2018, correct? Or 2019? What 2019?
2018, 2018.
2018. Yeah, bro. So you
Yeah.
got in at a time where you have seen, the people say that that time at Baylor was one of the best times, one of the highlights, and then all of a sudden, like Art Briles, and that was like a craziness. Like it was like woo woo, and then after that, and creeping up, and now like it's this new generation, such as me and us, most digital natives are coming in, and bro, like I even see now as I left, right, like these new kids that came in, it's like, yo, so this is what they were talking about. Y'all were like talking about,
Yep.
like y'all were like the last ones to who were like in the beginning and middle of like the internet age, but not sucked in. But now, like as I left, I'm seeing this whole new generation that is like super addicted and super like non-social. Like it's just so weird, bro. So I don't know
Yeah.
what the heck happened, but I wanted you to talk about like your little bit of experience, like like just a little touch, a little highlight, because I don't want to talk about college days, but like what was
No,
that
yeah,
like?
yeah.
How did Baylor change change you and help develop you the person that you are today?
There couldn't have been a better place for me than Baylor. I'm just gonna be honest with you. TCU could have been straight too, but TCU's like Slytherin and Baylor's like Gryffindor, to be honest. Um, and I very much am a Gryffindor esque. I'm a Ravenclaw, but anyway, the point is going to a PWI private school where I lived in Idaho for a good bit of my pre-operational, you know, phase of development. That was so important for assimilating. Oh, that person's like this. Accommodating. Oh, it's not always like that. So when I get to Baylor, after being told my entire life, you sound white. We talked about this. You sound white. Why you talk like that? Why you use them big words? That's what makes people, when you go to Baylor, be like, they bro you. They may not try to use the black slang on you, but you'll be a bro, and it's cool socially. Didn't really care for it, but when I played rugby at Baylor, there was a party where a whole bunch of people who look like us pulled up. Cameron, you got all these black people pulling up and say they know you. I'm sorry, they do know me. I didn't say they could come. They just say they know me. And so, from a social perspective, I can definitely see why they felt even comfortable saying there's a whole bunch of black people pulling up, if that makes sense. Let alone the black people pulling up because they felt comfortable having me, as a scapegoat for something. So that's a social aspect. Academically, Baylor was very important because I've had nothing but intentional teachers. I've had teachers who will take the time and positively reinforce writing skills. I changed my major twice. I was a business major because I didn't think I was going to go to Baylor, and I took advanced quantitative reasoning, which was going to be more conducive to business. But then I was like, went to psychology because I figured, hey, I'm good with people. I can do that. And the math was elementary statistics, and that also sufficed for communication studies. So when I switched from psychology to communications, it was like, I can now have my um, logos, if we're going to talk logos, pathos, ethos, my logos, my studies, like my logic, my real stuff that is important, is very much streamlined with an instance for a rugby party when we're taking communication theory, cultural communication, cross cultural communication, African American communication. So when I get to Baylor and I am that black pepper piece in a salt shaker that is the lone one,
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
there
yeah.
before. I've been there before. That's nothing. So when I pull up
Right,
and I'm going to school and I have 12, students around in a 1 to 13, ratio, all aspects just feel very comfortable to where I can change my major twice and still graduate in 4 years and be good.
right. So like that's really interesting because of course, people of color who went there have a completely different perspective, saying, "Oh, it's the worst time ever. Oh, I wasn't singing." Like I would be more on your end where I was like, I had an amazing time, and it helped develop me into who I am today. It was cool. I for me, it was cool. One would argue otherwise, like, "Oh, bro, blah," but I'm like, nah, bro. Like I just settled in and just continue to operate the way that I can, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be honest, half of these people aren't going to remember you, and you're not going to remember them. Like it's kind of funny how
Yep.
people have made this their whole identity in their whole life. And so I wanted to talk about like
Yep.
post grad. Like, did you have a good time being able to detach from that? Like, all right, I'm no longer a student and I'm now here. How was that
hmm
transition headed out?
Well, you know me. I'm still using that studio. I'm going there tomorrow. That's the
Yeah.
dojo. Moody Library is still the dojo for me in the studio. And I have people, from my high school who actually works at the booth, so he's helping me get into. And I've never really left Baylor. I actually met Linda Livingstone last year, and her and I've been emailing back and forth. I emailed her about the Nike jerseys for football. I'm like, hey, can we switch the jerseys up? Like, can I help design? Like, she's like, sorry, Kim. Like, we just had a long, extensive, deal with Nike so we can have more streamlined stuff. So I would say I'm digging more into the mainframe of Baylor than ever, really, like the straight up
Right.
backbone. And, she was really sweet too. And I'm helping get my pastors to go, meet her too. I just sent that email off last week. So, being an alum is important, something I feel like I'm not I'm not detaching from, but I'm also, I don't know if you can see in the room, my dad's diploma from Virginia Tech. That's it. The
Yeah.
whole house upstairs is Virginia Tech. I'm emphatic to that level in my heart, to where the finessable emails that I send out to Linda Livingstone, shouts out to her if she ever sees this. It's not trying to get over, but mm, I'm still on some, wow, I just messaged the president like I'm there. It's just that green and gold flinging afar, it's never gonna go stale. And I'm only a few years removed.
Right. Of course. And you know what? They do listen. It's crazy. Like, I've heard people, I've got messages and all that stuff that, they watching and they've been watching, they've been listening. So, which is a great honor. So, uh, whenever they, whenever they see this, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. So shout out to Linda. I met with her my first year, literally first week at Baylor. I emailed her like, "Hey, I want to talk about race," and her husband pulled up on me in East Village, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yo, man, this is so dope. I love this." But I came from a diverse school. How can we make it more diverse? They said, "Bam," and then after that is when it started being, Stu Gov and all that stuff. But um, that was so funny. It was so weird, bro.
I love that.
But
Doesn't
it's man,
surprise me at all.
I'm one bold motherfucker, bro. I'm not gonna cap. I'd be like, hey, and I
That's what it
remember
takes.
people were like staring at me. They're like, huh? They were like, how everybody kind of, when she first came, everybody looked at her as a celebrity, like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, like look at her, bro. It was such a cool, but like it is true though, those connections, and I think the greatest part of the collegiate experience is the relationships that we build from it, right? I think that's the only
Right.
value that, well, in my opinion, and I'm 22. I don't know anything, but I do know this. Um, it's always been people, and your network is your net worth, blah blah blah. But it really is like the connections that you make, um, can lead to something great, such as this. Us connecting over the pod on the potty, you giving me business advice, like just tapping into each other, being able to innovatively just create something out of the blue because of just experiences that we've dealt with when talking with other people with ideas and just being part of organizations. And I feel like that's the real value, because you cannot, like, no matter what anybody says, do I believe that the collegiate system itself is a scam? Yes. because college does not guarantee a job. It's not 1970, whatever. It doesn't guarantee a job. But what
We.
it has is value. It does not guarantee a job. Not in this economy, not in
You're
this
right.
world. Uh-uh.
You're
I,
right.
I, I don't I don't care what nobody says. That's for sure.
Entry
Whoa.
level jobs
But
asking for 5 years of experience. That's not entry level.
bro, that's not entry level. That's like he's like, huh? But what it does have to offer is the value creation of just being able to just be with other people. Like in one type of time and age where you're able to get people who are 18 to 22, 18 to 25 in the same place at the same time studying different things. And I feel really bad for some who have not taken advantage of just being there and being present. Because like
Right.
you're just missing out. You're missing out in terms of like, yeah, you might find the love of your life or whatever. I know that's what some people go to school for, Bailey specifically. but but no, but like you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know. Like, shoot, I went to freaking Greece with a friend that I met who pulled up on me like after I gave this speech about talking about lights, being a Baylor light. We went to Greece in July. Like I still see her, talk to her to this day. And it's just like, damn, I could get to talk to you on a monthly basis, bro. Tapping in, learning, whatever,
Right.
whatever. Like, I don't know, man. It's the people, bro. It's always been about the people,
It
in my
is.
opinion.
I agree. I agree with you. And seeing what you built with this platform is legit. And you said you looked up to me. I am no one to look up to. I am not special. I feel like you definitely are someone to be admired for. Just the you always got something new. I be on LinkedIn. Tanaka got a whole new business. What? And I'm like, oh, okay, let me tap in and see what this about. And then with Vitalu, you were like, hey, bro, look at this, like from the jump, like you flipped me behind the tapestry to see what the inner workings were, and to only know as every businessman or entrepreneur or businesswoman as well, business person or individual who's savvy in that aspect, they'll have their boom, 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 and then they have their Apple, they have their Google, whatever it is. And I'm glad to be able to be, linked up with someone along the way. I don't know if you saw, what was it? The movie something something in Miami with Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and
Yeah.
Sam Cooke. Yeah, it was like one night in Miami, I think. Every time I, talk to you or, talk to a Reggie or a EJ, I don't know if you have them, on cue or already, or if you've already interviewed them, but it's
Yes, I
like being in
have.
that movie. Yeah, it's like being in that room, greatness just rumbling. And whenever we leave or go about our separate ways, who knows what's gonna happen, but Lord willing is what we intend for it to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. Man. That is so good. And so I want to ask you a question, bro. Like why why do you feel like community is so important? Or how has community been so important in your life?
Community's been important in my life because I feel like I have that inexhaustible need to always be doing something. And as I've gotten older, it may have manifested in the ways of talking to people, cold calling. Sometimes I'll hit you up just out of nowhere. And what that does is I've learned that what Twitter folks will say, that little serotonin boost that you get. Everyone's a pseudo psychologist or psychiatrist on Twitter, but the little boop that you get whenever someone responds back to a text, or they might like something. A like may be a future purchase for gear. A like might just be, hey, what's good? I remember you. A like might be a reminder that they haven't unfollowed you. Everything is, when it comes to people, is grounds for uncertainty. But whenever you get that ding approval of whatever, it means a lot. And a lot of people live and die by that. We see that actually a lot with just people in general, TikTokers. I'm not trying to bash everyone, but even social media, just social media as a whole, people will just sell all the way out for the approval. But I do see why people do that. I'm going to be honest, because loneliness is tough. Loneliness is not something to be messed with, to be honest with you. So whenever you do have people who, you hit them up, they may hit you back up. You send them something stupid on Instagram, or you have something, interest related or tailored towards them that you've had in mind. It might even be a song. Community is just sending that to them and that little boop that you get back. And then that boop goes to their brain and it goes to your brain too, because you're thinking about each other. Sometimes it's not always a call or a let's get coffee. I'm learning that in the remote time of now, the yesterday's hey, let's get coffee is just you liking their tweet when no one likes their tweets. And that might lead to coffee later. That's just how I feel about community.
Wow, 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 that's so good. The fact that today, well, let's get coffee might be a little light, which will lead to coffee later on. Bro, that is facts. Literally, that's a testament of. No, 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 no. That's literally a testament of what happened to me last week, right? Somebody that I caught up with, an amazing soul, bro. Like I talked about her on my story last week, bro. Like she is just, we might have we crossed paths in high school, middle school, and high school, but for us, just like me, just reposting something that resonated with her, right? And I said, "Yo, bro, like shit, I love this." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, nothing but truth." He's like, "Yo, hey, I'm not sure what you got going on next week. If you're free, let's link." And then from there, that led it to a 3.5 hour conversation later. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
spending quality time
yeah.
and because you haven't seen this person in 4 years and you just see the growth and see how much they have changed over time. And it's like, dang, that's crazy. Or like, or just a DM. And but also for me, that's also kind of concerning though. It's like, we're now moving into, I post about all the time, metaverse and all that stuff, and looking very Black Mirror-esque. I'm not gonna
I was
cap.
about to say Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, bro. You about to hit into Black Mirror. It's just one of those things where, um, when are we? How far are we going to get to go where our digital lives are going to overtake our physical life? And how can we continue to make sure that we stay grounded? And so my question for you, bro, is like, you mentioned about the TikTokers and whatever, like how they've almost sold out. Like, how do you remain true and not try to fall into that trap?
One person, I'm gonna try to do like a 2 point turn to answer this question. My boy Daniel Wavy. I don't know if you've interviewed him.
I have interviewed him. Shout
He's
out
a
Daniel, bro. One of the funniest ones I
shout out
had.
Wavy. He is the type of dude to talk to about augmented reality, virtual reality, dystopian future, zombie apocalypse type stuff. And he and I've had plenty of conversations about that, years ago. But and I want to definitely double back and double down and say, TikTokers, I'm not, bashing you. I just don't have one. And Daniel actually was someone who, whenever I put out my EP, you gotta get TikTok, bro. You gotta get, because that's where it's at. That's the gold mine. That's the San Francisco right now. And for me, I'm like, okay, but I don't know how to really, I'm not gonna put myself out there without putting the best product out there. And to, I guess, answer your question fully is, selling out or, not having a plan, but just doing it for the sake of mass fame is something that I see a lot of people kind of doing the willy nilly. And hopefully I don't sound like a self pretentious person who's on a high horse or a soapbox or whatever it is. But if it wasn't for this or if it wasn't for the music, I wouldn't be even tweeting. I probably would, but I wouldn't be tweeting as a way that is like backlogging my brain, like hitting save, hitting backup. That's what tweeting is for me. That's something that I've thought of that needs to be a placeholder. So it's a checkpoint that I felt strong enough about that I'm going to put it down there because it has something to do with clothing, music, me watching Bloomberg or something or whatever it is. But, what I want to again double down and say is a lot of the stuff that we're seeing on, social media is we're still on the, Bumble, I don't know, Grinder, Hinge wave. Shouts out to the CEO of Bumble. She's legit, from Bloomberg. But we're still trying to be ooh la la and oh, our heads in la la land and stuff with a lot of things. But I don't see that same energy that a lot of people would have towards something of substance, and a lot of it is just idle mindedness. And I feel like I sound like a 60-year-old man, but my mom even tells me I'm like 60 something years old. I'm so sorry.
Nah, bro, that's so true, and that's good, and like that's so real. right? And you're talking to a person in this world. Um, it's hard to design things out of substance because consumers don't want that. They want things kind of like
No.
quick,
Oh
hot,
yeah. Oh yeah.
fast, and you know the things that are do not have intentional design um are often backed up by people, monetary resources, connections, because it's easier to get quick and rich off of it.
Right.
Right? And they end up nearly destroying the fabric of society. We've seen that with Facebook. Shout out Zuck, evil nigga, but um
I'm weak.
I mean,
That
I'm
man
just
has
saying,
sweet baby rays
bro.
on the whatever
On the
Tula.
thing,
No, I'm playing. I'm playing.
yeah,
He
bro, he
probably
loves the
watching
sweet
that right
baby
now.
rays. He loves the sweet baby rays. But it's done for profit, and it's like, yo, how can we continue to make sure that we create, and continue to produce sustainable design, not just in terms of like technologically, but also in a physical front, from
Right.
a emotional front, economic front, um, environmental front, right? Because it's sustainability,
Yeah.
and it's this is the future. And if we are not intentional, we're gonna run ourselves to the ground. And by all means, metaphysical, physical, about every mean, right? And
It's true.
good dude,
It's
because
true.
I went to London, bro. When I went to London, when I was with Judah and Albert, we were in the London hotel, like London
Hmm.
airport, when we're going through to go to our final destination in Spain. Like, bro, that thing was so Black Mirror. Like that airport, Heathrow was like, bro, cameras everywhere, face scan, whatever, barely any human interaction. Zoom. Like people think New York or whatever is like fast or whatever, but I'm talking about the UK. It's like it was out. We were just like, yo, this does not feel natural. And we have to go back to the natural elements. We have to go back to understanding, because on nature, right? I mean, you know me, bro. I'm a fanatic about, like, nature and design. Like, bro, that like God's design is the best
Hmm.
design. All our ideas are just an extension of that. But if we don't steward them well, um,
Right.
it won't end up good.
No, I definitely agree with you. Shout out Judah, by the way. Is it his birthday today or was it yesterday? Happy belated.
Yesterday, shout out to the boy. Happy
Yesterday. Shout
birthday,
out
happy
Judah.
belated, bro.
Yeah, that man was legit. Um, and in regards to the future and technology, I love cars. I love vehicles. Um, I interviewed actually to be a manager and went all the way to the final round to be a manager of test drivers for a company owned by Ford and Volkswagen called Argo AI.
Mm.
I went through like three different position interviews, and they went and took me through all that emotional whatever just to tell me they didn't want to even hire me or whatever. I even went down to Austin to drive. But those cars and the technology is amazing. And Ford put what $1.5 billion into them, and so did Volkswagen. I think they put like $2.6 billion into them. But they're legit. And the future might go to automated cars with Tesla. Also might go to more fuel efficient things, e-vehicles. Ford made the new Mach whatever SUV Mustang, and now they're making an E version of it. Like BMW was ahead of the game with the sports E stuff as well. Even SLS, Mercedes, Daimler, AMG had an E version too. But like, I see cars as a very positive, safe, type of thing that is going to allow us to go into the future with ease. We've just always been travelers, and so between that, even the Hyperloop too, you know, it might be section down with cameras and everyone eye scoping and stuff. And hopefully we don't get to that, Dexter Laboratory esque way of living. But no, I definitely see positive on the rise for technology in terms of vehicles and getting from A to B.
Oh, absolutely, right. That is without a given. That is facts. That right there is facts and truth. And so I'm super excited for that to happen. Everything else,
Yeah.
hey yo, bro, we gotta chill.
Y'all got it. Y'all got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah.
Man, man. But this is towards the end of the season. Like, we're running at 45 minutes, man. Man, this flew by. Damn, this flew by.
It did. Felt like
Bro,
15 minutes.
bro, it feels like 15 minutes. Man, so these are the last couple questions that I always usually ask my guest, more of the bigger idea question. So my first question for you is, bro, what is one thing that you would like to see change in the United States?
I want to make sure I answer that properly. Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah. What is one thing that you personally would like to see change in the United States? If you could change it. I know it's a big question.
No, 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 no. That's okay. I think, ooh, because I think the whole president system could use some work. Kamala Harris, shouts out to her. She's the goat. And we're getting some stuff done because I mean, Black America has always had the black mama. What you doing? What we doing? And I feel like she's just getting that whole thing set up and straight. I feel like we need to kind of change the way that we have people in office who run the joint because obviously there's no way we should have had Trump being in there for multiple reasons. But we've opened it to the public to, hey, popular vote. You can go in, you can go in, but you got to leave at a certain time. A lot of people may not have wanted Obama to be in office for a while, but I'm sure that if we had a chance, he would be in office for a while and know that there are things that put people in place to say, oh, tyranny and all that other stuff. But for the sake of consistency, it would be cool for us not to play Mario Party with whoever's in the office. We need some of this. Um, that's my blatant whatever. I don't know anything about politics. One class at Baylor Poli Sci 1101 answer, but that's it.
That's good. That's good. I like that answer. Now, for my second question is, what does it mean to be free? What is freedom?
That's a good question. It's probably a good ending question too, because I don't know what it means. I don't feel like I am free right now. I haven't been free for the last few years, really. Um,
Mhm.
but there are glimpses of hope, and that's the closest thing that I get to freedom. And those glimpses, excuse me, those glimpses of hope that basically equate to freedom are enough to kind of, all right, let's get back to work. Let's clock in. Foot Locker corporate telling me to work mandatory overtime of 9 hours. Now we're gonna put 10 hours in, and that's what I did for the whole month of October. So freedom for me is, I may not like my circumstance, but I got hope that when I stack these chips and work these 10-hour days, I can do what I can do to get to the future and then get free. So free is just almost synonymous or a cousin to hope with me right now, to be honest.
That's real. That is real.
Yeah,
That is so real, bro.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate this.
yeah, bro. Man, that is so good, bro. That is so good. You know what? That's right. That is a great way to end it. Um, man. So how I usually end the podcast, bro, is the Speak Life segment, where I get an opportunity to speak life with my guest. James, shout out James too. I think life and death is in the tongue. So here we go. My boy Cam, one of the smartest people that I know, bro. I'm so blessed and honored just to be able to have your friendship, bro. I am, you call me an innovator, but you are the innovator. Um, I hope you realize that you do inspire people, bro, because, you inspire me, Kaki, and a whole lot of people, just the way that you were able to create, um, man, like, it's so fascinating that the fact that you have created a line or an idea and how you did it with the Sigmas. You did it now, and how you were able to talk with New Era, and how you're talking about, like, with rappers of people who were part of, um, freaking Joey Badass Group Pro Era. And just, bro, it's phenomenal. Full Locker Corporate in East Bay, and as an individual, as a person, man, like, most people don't have the resilience, wherewithal, tenacity, and just the power to pursue an idea. People would give up just to stop, right? You haven't given up. And just for that, bro, you are an inspiration to me. And I hope that you realize that because of you being inevitable in just your standard of living and what you want for yourself. It's an honor just to be able to be here and be by your side and work together towards the journey, bro. So thank you for being who you are and who God has created you to be and staying steadfast in all that you've done, bro. Nothing but flowers
Thank you.
and grace and love to you, man. And I am blessed to be your
Thank you.
friend.
Thank you. And I'm blessed to be your friend as well. Brother, family, thank you. Seriously.
Of course, yo. So where can the people find you at, bro? Where can the people find you at?
Instagram, if you're gonna promote on our Instagram, you can just tag me, Cam Price Jr. That's really it. Keeping it simple.
All right, yo. So Camp Price Jr., that's where you can follow them at. And that is this episode of Campus Cuts. A very calm and chill episode today. And we are so grateful that you shared the time with us. And we are
Thank you.